He continues, apparently the philosophy that homosexuality leads to a higher state of consciousness is one that they adopted from some occult society. Um, Maybe this is true, but even if it is, where's the evidence that modern homosexuals adopted this philosophy? I mean, he's like Glenn Beck. He's drawing one connection to another and drawing another connection to that. So obviously, everything must be connected. That doesn't make any sense. There's no evidence for modern homosexuals, believing in the occult, believing that homosexuality leads to a higher state of consciousness. In fact, every homosexual I've talked to says that they can't change the way they are. So it's not about higher state of consciousness. It's the way they are. Um, Secondly, if you read Plato, which I'm sure you didn't because you're a moron, you would see that that's what the Greeks believed. They believed that homosexuality is a higher state of consciousness, while heterosexuality is just something that nature made them do, something that they had to do to procreate. But what makes them humans, not animals, what makes them intelligent is homosexuality, according to Plato. Um, then Forerunner shows a picture of a swastika along with an Om symbol. Um, Maybe the occultists adopted this for some reason. I'm not even going to bother fact checking them on this. But originally, these are Hindu symbols. I know this because I'm a Hindu. They aren't evil at all because we worship them, unless I'm evil, and I didn't know it this whole time. He says that the occult group Lucius Trust have been codified in the United Nations, a Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Apparently, they talk about ending Christianity in a Declaration of Human Rights. You think this would stand out because it has nothing to do with human rights? But he doesn't show this evidence. I've never heard of this. And this should be public domain, right? People should be complaining. What this has to do, what ending Christianity has to do with human rights. But apparently they did, according to this guy. That's something. Then he discusses 10 strategies to put forward the New World Order, which I will discuss now. Number one, he says, quote, push God out of schools. He says that in the last 50 years, this has happened. God has been pushed out of schools. God is irrelevant to most people. I don't know how I reached this statistic that God is irrelevant to most people. I mean, that's a pretty vague number. Most, I mean, I've never heard that being used in any statistic that I've heard of. I'm sure you got it somewhere, though. Listen here, buddy. First of all, it is in the American Constitution that the government should not establish religion. So it's not up to government to push God anywhere, either into schools or out of schools. That's not the government's problem. Secondly, are you saying Catholic schools have pushed God out of schools? That doesn't make any sense. Jewish schools have pushed God out of their schools? What the hell? That doesn't mean anything. Only public schools have. You had to clarify that. But, and this is the most important point, public schools are paid for by tax dollars. So my family, which is Hindu, pays for public schools. Why the hell should my tax dollars go to push your religion? That is the most un-American thing I've heard of. I have the right to do what I want with my money, and I certainly don't want to push your religion. If I'm paying my tax dollars to teach any religion, it'll be Hinduism. You don't like that? I'll see you in court, man. Number 2. Break the traditional Judeo-Christian family concept. Break communication between parents and children. Do this by passing excessive children's rights. First of all, the traditional Judeo-Christian family in the Bible is where a man is allowed to have multiple wives, and he can stone his children to death. Secondly, are you saying non-Judeo-Christian family concepts like Hindu families are not like that? They don't have communication between parents and children? Is that what you're trying to say? Thirdly, where did the government pass excessive children's rights? You never get into that. You never show any evidence, as usual. He shows all the evidence for the wrong things, like the connection between homosexuals and and Nazis, which doesn't have any impact on anything. It doesn't mean anything. But when you need evidence, he doesn't show it, like an idiot. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. I mean, the best I can think of is, I remember they abolished child labor. Is that considered excessive child rights for you? Does that count? Number 3, remove restrictions on sex. He says it's not just for the married anymore. It's for everybody. You know the first people that would celebrate this step into the New World Order? Republican congressmen. They get into all sorts of extramarital affairs. Secondly, if you waited until marriage for sex, I mean you in the audience who's watching this video, if you waited until marriage for sex, raise your hand. You, my friend, are part of the New World Order. You're part of the cult and you're a Nazi. Got it? Homosexuality, number 4, homosexuality and orgies and bestiality are all desirable. Are serious, dude? That sounds like a little bit of a straw man to me. I mean, do you have any evidence of any liberal saying that? Any mainstream liberal saying that bestiality is desirable? And orgies are desirable? That homosexuality is desirable? Homosexuality isn't desirable. It's part of their nature. That's what they do. You don't even understand what the liberal argument is. You just make shit up. You just say what you want to say. I mean, seriously. But one thing is clear, though. This guy wants to come into your home with a stick and stop your orgy. Don't let him do it. Number 5. People must be free to abort unwanted children. A woman should have sex and live without consequences. Once again, is this really what pro-choice people say? I mean, I hear it all the time about pro-choice people saying that women shouldn't have to live with consequences. They don't have to be responsible. Come on, dude. That is such a straw man. But I'm not even going to get into this. I've already made a video where I make a very clear, thorough rebuttal of this stupid point called Republicans, Not Democrats, are pro-abortion. So you guys can check it out. Number 6. People must be free to divorce. Apparently, divorced people are Nazis. And also, lots of Christian groups are Nazis because they didn't support any proposition like Prop 8 making a law which makes divorce illegal. I didn't hear a single Christian group supporting it. So apparently there are also, all Christian groups are Nazis, according to you. Number 7, silence Christianity, which says that Jesus is the only way, and promote other faiths and interfaith harmony. Interfaith harmony is a bad thing, man, according to this guy. How crazy is that? But wait a second, you're telling me that when you say Jesus is the only way, and you're silencing other faiths, because Jesus is the only way, so the other faiths aren't the way, so you're silencing them. That's okay. But when I, a Hindu, try to silence your faith, that's not okay? That's not fair, man. If you silence my faith, I get to silence your faith. Jesus Christ, man. I don't want to silence anybody's faith. Nobody wants to silence Christianity. You can believe in Christ if you want. If you want to have a debate about the legitimacy of it, that's fine. I mean, we're willing to have that debate, but nobody's forcing you not to be a Christian. All they're saying is, don't make the government into a Christian nation. Don't make the government pass Christian laws. Because I'm a Hindu, I don't want my tax dollars paying for Christian beliefs. I think that's the most American thing. And you're anti-American if you think I have to be forced to pay for your religion when I don't believe in it. I think that's really anti-American, and I think you're a Nazi if you believe that. You know, I'm not gonna get into any more of this. This movie has this series has 13 parts. I'm in like part 4. I'm done with this guy. This guy's an idiot. End of story. End of discussion.